Welcome back to Access Anime. I'm Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough review of Fairy Tail episode 158. Now, if you remember from last episode, the Grand Magic Games have started, and we're moving on to the opening ceremonies. Now, 8 of the teams have been introduced from the elimination round, both Fairy Tail Team A and Fairy Tail Team B, among the other groups that were actually playing. Now, we do find out that Mavis is actually in the background cheering on both Fairy Tail teams as a ghost, and only the members of Fairy Tail can actually see her. Now, toward the end of the episode, we find out the next competition is called Hidden. Now, the rules really were not explained, but we do find out that the teams have already decided on the members that will be playing. But again, that was last episode, and this is a new episode, so let's dive right in. And again, I'll hold my final thoughts and my ratings at the end of the clip, so stay tuned, but let's dive right in. Now, the opening scene I found was very interesting. We see Altair and Melody. And wow, I enjoy seeing Altair. She looks amazing, that's all I can say. And again, they're on top of a building and they're watching the Grand Magic Games. And we do a split scene where we see Jalel. And again, Jalel is actually on Fairy Tail Team B. Now, if Fairy Tail Team B is found out that Jalel is playing, they will be disqualified because he is not a member. Just putting that out there. But moving on, we're taken to a different scene. Now, we see Mavis, again, the original Guildmaster of Fairy Tail. And she's going over the rules for Hidden, which is a competition in the Grand Magic Games. But moving on, what are the rules? Now, apparently, there can be up to 5 participants from each guild. Just thought I'd put that out there. But what we didn't know was that you can actually have reserved members. So that means Wendy can play. Now, I'm wondering, does each other team have reserved members? We don't know. So I thought I'd put that out there as well. But we do know, Raventail, they did ambush Wendy. So in this episode, it is pointed out that they did ambush Wendy. Just thought I'd put that out there. But moving on to the next scene, we actually see Mavis going over all the rules, the meat and potatoes of Hidden. Ready? Here we go. Now, the tournament takes place over a span of 5 days. Now, what we do know is that each day has a competition part and a battle part. So I thought I'd point that out. Now, the competition part, the teams actually decide the matchup. Now, for the battle part, the sponsors, they actually get to pick the matchup. See, that I did not know. Now, the point system is exactly the same from the last episode. If you win, you get 10 points. If you tie, each person gets 5 points each, or should I say each team gets 5 points each. And of course, if you lose 0, you don't get any points at all. Now, moving on to the next scene, we're actually taken to the commentator, Yagami. I said commentary, I mean commentary. And he's actually talking about who the crowd actually favorites. Now, the crowd favorites obviously Rufus from Sabretooth. No surprise there, since they were the winners from last year. And again, I guess Rufus is the crowd's favorite. But he points out he'll be watching Gray from Fairy Tail. So that's interesting. Now, again, we see Jenny, who is from Blue Pegasus, and she's favoring Eve from Blue Pegasus. So that was kind of obvious. Hometown, you're going to stick with that, right? Now we're taken to a different scene. Now we see Gray. Now he's asking who this pumpkin guy is. Finally, someone asked the question. Now we don't get to know what his real name is. In fact, he kind of avoids the question. But he finishes his sentence off, this pumpkin guy, with Kabu, K-A-B-O. So I'm assuming his name is Kabu, unless someone that's read the manga series wants to correct me there. But again, his name is probably Kabu. At least that's what I'm getting from that little cutscene. Now we are taken to a different cutscene, actually. Now, the game actually has already started, so I say competition, but it's not really much of a competition in my opinion. But we do see a town appear out of nowhere. It's in the middle of the arena. So I thought that was definitely kind of interesting. I didn't even see this coming. I was like, what? What's happening? Sorry. And everyone's already split up. All the teams that'll be playing, all the members that have been picked, they've been split up. They're no longer with each other, like all over this little digital city, in my opinion. Yeah, I called it a digital city because that's what it looks like to me. I'm sorry, I get way off topic there. Now, everyone assumes this is actually hide and seek, so the game, I should say the competition, like Hidden, they're assuming it's called hide and seek. And the bigger question is, well, who's the seeker? Now, each person is actually both the hider and the seeker, so that actually was explained. Now, the rules, well, if you get attacked, you're going to lose 1 point. Now, if you find someone and you attack them, you get 1 point, regardless of what the attack actually is. Now, there are copies of people spread out across the whole little town, this digital town in my opinion, And, well, not just my opinion, but they are copies. At first I thought they were like magical illusions, but they're called copies. Now, if you strike a copy by accident, you lose 1 point. So that's the point system within this competition. Now, moving on to the next scene. Now, this is kind of funny. Obviously, we see Juvia. She's playing, and she sees a copy of Gray, and what does she do? Yeah, she goes right after, she goes after the copy of Gray, and she loses 1 point. Who didn't see that coming? And again, she restarts 10 seconds later in a different location. Now, moving on to the next scene, we find out the game's going to last for 30 minutes. So now it's got a time. It's got a little ticker going on. We see Gray versus Null Pudding. So we already know who the first versus is going to be against. Gray versus Null Pudding. Now, apparently, Null Pudding is from Raventail. And we see a copy of him. So Gray obviously is going to lose 1 point because he attacks the copy. Now we see Gray come back and he actually attacks Null Pudding yet again and he loses another point. So Gray, you're already down by 2 points. What's happening, man? Seriously? Oh, that was just very distressing. Now moving on to the next scene, we actually see Beth. She attacks Gray, but was attacked by Jaeger. But Jaeger was attacked by Leon. Wow, that was like all at once there in that combination. Now we are taken to a different scene where we see Gray versus Juvia versus Leon. Interesting little matchup. I loved where it went, but Juvia beats Leon because Leon was distracted by seeing her panties. Oh man, that just got really interesting there. But moving on to the next scene, we actually see Juvia versus Gray, and Juvia points out to Gray that she made a promise to Gramps that she'd win. Now Gramps being Marco from Fairy Tail, the present Guildmaster. And we do a little flashback, obviously, and you see Markov. He's at the Fairy Tail headquarters and he's talking with Team B in general, not Team A, but he's talking to Fairy Tail Team B, and he's pointing out, if you guys win, you guys can do whatever you want to the losing team. And this goes vice versa for if Natsuo's team win, they can do whatever they want to Team B. So now it just got interesting. Interesting flashback. Now we are taken to a different scene. We see Null Pudding, and he's going after Juvia and Gray. And it looks like he got Juvia, but that's unconfirmed. We didn't really see if that was confirmed or not. Now, we are taken to a different cutscene where we see Eve. Now, Eve, he's got something up his sleeve, and we don't know what. We see snow that's coming down randomly in the middle of this little digital town. Now, here's the catch on why he's doing this little, like the snow in general. Now, these are all copies within the game, but they don't have any breath. They're not breathing. So if it's cold out, you can see your breath. So that's why it's snowing. Now, this doesn't really work for people with, snow power or, such as Gray or Leon. It doesn't really affect them because, that's their power. So he kind of miscalculated this little ace in his sleeve, this little trick he's got going on. So, but he does in fact take out Beth, and he does take out Jaeger and Null Pudding. So he got 3 points off the bat. So, thumbs up, buddy. I didn't think that little trick was going to work, but it does work. Now we are taken to a different scene. We see Leon. He goes after Eve. Now Null Pudding goes after Gray. So I'm getting the feeling that Raventail is just going to focus on Fairy Tail throughout this whole episode. That's kind of non-avoidable. But we are taken to a different scene. We see Rufus from Sabretooth, and he isn't moving, and he hasn't been attacked, and we don't know why. And he keeps saying this is simple. And he's up high, like I want to say up on a pedestal, but he's like up on a building so everyone can see him. And we're wondering why. Now he uses his magic. We hear him say magic make. Then we find out it's a molding magic. Then he says the words Night of Falling Star. Well, Night of Falling Stars in general. And then he attacks everyone, even Null Pudding, all at once. I was like, what? Can this really be happening? But moving on to the next scene, we see Gray. He actually attempts to attack Rufus. So he's like, you know what, screw it, I'm going right after you, man. I thought this was well worth watching. But Null Pudding, he comes out of nowhere and attacks Gray, so I didn't see that coming. And then time is up. Now, what are the rankings right now? Where is everyone at now that the competition is done? Well, here we go. Now, 8th team, Fairy Tail Team A. Not looking good at all with 0 points. Now, 7th place is Fairy Tail Team B with 1 point. Quattro Cerberus, 6th place, 4 points. Not too bad. 5th place, Mermaid Heel with 2 points. So that was kind of interesting. I said 2 points. I think they actually had more since they were actually in 5th place. Now, for 4th place, we see Blue Pegasus. They had 4 points. Now, third place was Llama Scale, and they had 6 points. In second place, we had Raventail with 8 points. And first place, no surprise, Sabretooth with 10 points. Now, we are taken to a different scene. We see Gray, and he's taking the loss pretty seriously. Actually, very seriously. He even hits a wall. So, wow, this is a serious side of him I haven't seen in a long time. Just pointing that out. Now, we are taken to a different scene, and we're introduced to the battle part. That's right. On to the last part of the day, which is the battle part. Now, Fairy Tail, Lucy is up, and from Raventail, Flare. So this will be interesting. But again, that ends it for the episode. On to the final thoughts. Well, I'm interested to see Gray. How pissed off is he from losing? So I'm curious. He's got to have this huge rage built up. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. Now, Rufus, we don't know what you look like without your mask, so I'm wondering if we've already seen you in the Fairy Tail series already. There's a lot of mystery, so I'm curious about that. Now, Mavis, are you going to do more than just be a commentator and spectator as well? I'm just curious there. So I just thought I'd put that out. And Raventail, what is the deal? Why are you targeting Fairy Tail? But again, that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, 4.5 out of 5. Are you serious? We got a huge amount of information and a lot of fight scenes. So definitely 4.5 out of 5. I love where it went. So again, final rating, 4.5 out of 5. Now, again, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Fairy Tail episode 158, but definitely comment down below, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe above, and let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you're going to think about coming up on the next episode. So, let's see where that's at. But again, that ends it for today. Moving on, I do have a couple more walkthroughs and reviews to do, so definitely stay tuned. But again, that ends it for today, and before I go, I gotta say it, can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.